Okay. Hey
All right.
guys, today we're going to talk about how do you focus on the process, not the goal, right? So every year, like you guys probably write down, almost everybody in the world write down like 4 or 5 goals, like reduce weight, exercise, make more money, travel more with the family, and enjoy the life. Maybe that's 5 goals. Let's say that. I think you probably have those goals in your goals in December. You probably wrote that, and then by the time like March comes in, you probably forget everything, right? Because the way that it works, human nature, like you cannot give a big picture and then tell the person to just do the specific items, look at the specific item, right? It's a big picture. That's what the goal means. And but each there is a process involved, right? So when you get to the if you want to achieve the goal, there are multiple steps involved. You know all the steps, though. You have to know all the steps. You have to write it down specifically so that you can actually achieve the goal.
Yeah, like you said, most of us have goals and we like to have goals, and there's nothing wrong with having goals. But the problem is, right, what happens with a lot of us is we have goals, we like to think about goals, we like to be positive, we think about them, but thinking about goal is not going to get there. It's the process. So for an example, what I can come up with as the first point is, like something you mentioned, it has to be very specific. Something that was taught to me by my master, Taekwondo master Harris, is like, one day he asked me, "When do you want to start this school?" And I said, "Yeah, 2019." No, that's a goal, but what are you going to do to get to that level? That's the process. That's how you plan. That's how you get to that goal one day. And also, it has to be very specific. If you say 2019, no, that's not a goal. 2019, that's just a time frame. No, you have to be very specific. On this date, July 18th, I'm going to open the school. But how to? So that's a very specific. To do that, you have to have a proper plan. You have to have the process. You can have short-term goals. Okay, by March 2017, I should do this. By June 2018, I should be doing this. So that's the process that, and by the first, I'm just giving an example about but so continuing on that, by this, by May 2017, I should be getting my black belt. Those are the kind. So how to get the black belt? So I have to reduce weight. How to reduce my weight? I have to run 30 minutes on the treadmill. So those are the specific processes that will eventually get you to your ultimate goal. And so that's something that I myself did. I was like, my famous example is the weight. You have heard like 100 times now, the weight reduction, and that's one of the processes for me to get to my black belt. So that's what you have to focus. What happens if you just focus on getting the black belt? That's not going to happen. It's very generic.
Right, right.
That goal is very generic, and you have to think about the specific steps, specific processes that will eventually get to your goal.
And also you have to train your mind on the process, because you're probably very excited about owning learning about what 50 pound I reduce next year, right? From 300 pounds. So that's a good goal, but it, but it's not like it's not going to you need to look into the each step of it, right? So that is exactly what we are talking about here. What you said just now, and in this case, what I would do, let me give you an example. I want to make more money. That's your goal. Everybody's goal, almost, right?
Right.
So let's say you are making $50,000 a year, right? Something like that. And then you want to make 100,000. You want to double your. That's a good goal. It's achievable. But if you do that process in such a way that you can do it, so you have to write it down. Like your goal is 100,000, but each step that you need to do, like you are 110 different jobs that you could do. Let's say, right? Each jobs gives you 10,000 extra, right? That's extra, and then that's 100,000. So 10 jobs, you give you like you have to write down those 10 jobs. It's just like a writing a book. Like you have a title, you have chapters. Each chapters will tell you something, but if you combine everything, that is a story, right? That's exactly like, you have a goal, you have maybe a process, sub process, and then how do you get to that each sub process? Split that up. Like basically, you train your mind to know exactly how to get to the small goal. That another thing that comes into play is a small goal, right? Your mind is easily can do small goal, not a big goal. Like 50-pound reduction in 1 year, it's a big goal for somebody, right? And that's like your mind is not trying to do that. But if you say 1,000 steps a day, start with it, right? First month is 1,000 steps a day every day. That's going to take 10 minutes, let's say, right? So that is achievable, right? That's achievable. But you increase that to 2,000 steps next month. That's what you need to devise the plan. It's just like a strategy and tactics. If you know the difference, right? If you tactics are the inner things of strategy, right? If you have a strategy, the strategy is to, like, all the process we wrote down. Every month we are going to do 1,000 and then increase. That's a strategy. Increase to 2,000, increase to 3,000, 4,000, like that. And then the tactics would be, how do you get to that? Like we have talked in other videos, like how do you get extra steps, and like you can actually do those things to get to this, and then increase the intensity of it, right? That's how you basically devise your plan, your goal, your strategy, and then your tactics. It's kind of, and then daily you do that on in a consistent basis. Train your mind, make it a habit, right, in your process, the routine. Make it a morning routine or daytime routine or nighttime routine, whatever you do, right? Just you make that as a routine and keep looking at the goal, but focus on the process.
That's a great one. I think that example included pretty much everything that you needed to know, because we talked about having the bigger goal and a short term goals, and then having a strategy and tactics, because the strategy is the important thing, right? So you might have, and also when you talk about the consistency, we always talk about being able to do it for more than 3 weeks, then it becomes a habit. So make sure you do all that, because it's not going to happen overnight. But the important thing is, like you said, focus on the process and the strategy. Change tactics if they don't work, because sometimes you try to achieve the same process goals by if you keep failing, if you keep feeling like you're not achieving what you're supposed to achieve in it, in your when you think about your short-term goals, you cannot achieve the same. You cannot expect a different outcome by using the same steps. So that way, what you said was like change the tactics, change the strategy, and see if it gets to your goal. So you gave some good examples, so I don't want to repeat that. So the important thing is focusing. The topic of today is the focus on the process, then the keep the goal in mind, but focus on the process and how to improve it by changing tactics, changing this strategy, and be consistent.
And write down everything every day, maybe every week. If you cannot write down every day, like whatever that your focus is, your goal is, right? What are the steps that you're going to take, and keep revising it every day. Keep doing that. That way you are training your mind, like we were talking about training your mind on that process, right? How do you get to that? That's the single process you have to do. It's a simple thing, and the sub process is going to be even a simpler thing to do, like just going 5 minutes for something, right? Doing something 5 minutes, doing some 10 deep breaths every day. Those are the tiny process. So you're just basically doing, like, if you think about like honeycomb, right? Honeycomb, like single honeybees cannot do the whole honeycomb. There are thousands of them. Everything doing a single simple thing, right? It's probably doing a tiny one. The honeycomb is just filling up with the honey. That's all it's doing, and each honeybee is working on it. That's exactly, think about from the nature you can get that. And you have a big honeycomb is the goal, and each honey, that individual compartment is like a process. So when you combine all this process, you get to the goal, but you have to apply all this small sub process, like going to get the honey every day, like honeybee goes every day, bring those pollens, and then eat them up and regurgitate into that comb and become like a honey, right? So that is exactly you have to do every day. You have to do some small thing. At the end, you have a big honeycomb, and you can harvest and enjoy the harvest.
That's another great example. So I think we covered pretty much we wanted to cover that. Hope that you probably know some of these things. You already know, but you really don't take time to think or process through. So hopefully, this session gave you a kind of a reminder. Use us as a reminder service, and hope you guys learned something new, or if not, at least got reminded of some forgotten strategies, forgotten things that you should be reminding yourself for a better life.
Thank you guys. See you guys in the next video.
Yeah.